Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a deeply comforting piece of source material titled The Scepter of Mercy and the Throne of Grace. We're going to explore some really powerful concepts about finding a loving, compassionate guide when life just gets incredibly tough. Okay, let's dive right into this.
So, have you ever felt completely alone when facing a really tough problem? I mean, it's a totally universal feeling, isn't it? I want you to imagine just for a second the daily trials that even a 10-year-old faces. Think about it from their perspective. The pressure at school, trying to navigate friendships, dealing with the temptation to do something they know is flat out wrong, or simply feeling totally crushed by a sudden wave of sorrow or disappointment. Those burdens are heavy. And whether you're 10 years old or 80 years old, those daily struggles and temptations are incredibly real. The source text we're analyzing today speaks directly to that heavy, isolated feeling. It validates those struggles, but then it immediately points us toward an incredible solution.
Section 1. A never-failing helper. Now, what's really interesting here is that the text makes a very bold claim right out of the gate. We are not meant to carry these heavy burdens by ourselves. Notice the huge contrast. The source material tells us that Jesus has ascended to the very presence of God. He literally shares the throne of the universe. That represents ultimate, unimaginable power. But, and this is the absolutely key takeaway, he lost none of his compassionate nature in the process. None of it. The text emphasizes that today, right now, that same tender, sympathizing heart is open to all the woes of humanity. He has ultimate cosmic authority, yet his hand is constantly reaching out to bless his people in the world. He isn't some distant entity. He's deeply invested in your daily life. Think about the reality of human struggle for a moment. Trying to battle evil and face temptation entirely by ourselves? When we try to do it alone, the source tells us we just end up crushed with burdens and sorrow. But there is an alternative, having a never-failing helper. Instead of being crushed, we're blessed. And, just a quick aside, as we talk about these spiritual battles, it's worth reminding ourselves that in these representations of our spiritual struggles, any evil angels are just wicked-faced men with wings wearing priest tunics. They have absolutely no beastly features. The real battle is internal. It's the weight of the temptation itself. But the point is, we don't have to face it alone.
The source beautifully points out that even though our helper is hidden from our physical, mortal sight, we aren't cut off from him at all. We can use what the text calls the ear of faith. And when we really tune that ear of faith, we can hear his comforting voice speaking the exact words from Revelation 1:18. "Fear not, I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore." It's this constant, steady reassurance that the one who conquered death itself is walking right beside you.
Section 2. The Throne of Grace.
So, if Jesus is our never-failing helper, then the throne of grace is essentially the heavenly power station we can visit at absolutely any time. But before we talk about how to approach that throne, the text uses a specific, somewhat older word that we should probably define: thraldom. For the younger members of our audience, or really anyone who hasn't heard this term before, thraldom basically means being completely trapped or stuck. Specifically, being stuck in a cycle of sin and bad choices. It's like being tangled up in a net. But the source provides some incredible news. A ransom has been paid for our souls. And because that huge price was paid, we have the ultimate opportunity to escape from this trap. We do not have to stay stuck. We can actually find freedom and pardon.
Let's see how this all builds together, because the source material doesn't just leave us with abstract, high-level ideas. It actually gives us highly specific steps for obtaining this freedom. The path to getting the help that only God can give involves 3 distinct actions. First, we put away iniquity, which simply means actively turning away from those bad choices in our hearts. Second, we stretch out our hands in earnest supplication. That's just a formal way of saying we engage in deep, sincere prayer. And third, we maintain a firm reliance upon Jesus. It's a very clear, very structured approach to engaging with the throne of grace. And what actually happens when we follow those steps, when we bring our sincere, earnest request to this heavenly power station? Well, the text lists out these magnificent gifts that are just poured out onto us: divine wisdom, power, pardon, purity, and ultimately heaven itself. And the author makes a brilliant observation right here. Listen to this. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You might not possess great world-changing talents. But the text promises that with humility and that firm reliance on Jesus, even those with the smallest talents can do great, active, and useful work in bringing others to Christ. And that's entirely because they are fueled by these amazing gifts from the throne.
Section 3. The Truth about God. To truly approach the throne of grace with confidence, we have to actually understand who is sitting on it, right? The text frankly admits that thousands and thousands of people hold a false conception of God. There's this massive myth out there that God is harsh, distant or just waiting around to punish us. But we have to actively bust that myth. So, the crucial point is that the reality is we serve a God of truth and mercy. We need to make absolutely sure that the being we are adoring and seeking to emulate is actually the true God, and not some false, harsh caricature created by human fear.
The author then explicitly details the true, beautiful attributes of God's throne. His throne is built on truth and justice, yes, absolutely, but equally on mercy and love. He is a God of pity and tender compassion. He is characterized by patience and long-suffering. Just think for a second about how comforting it is to worship and adore a being who possesses these wonderful, deeply empathetic qualities. This is exactly who we are dealing with when we bring our daily struggles to Him.
And, if you ever find yourself struggling to picture God's character, the source gives us a perfect guide. It tells us that Jesus, our Savior, perfectly represents this compassionate and loving God. It's really that simple. If you want to know what God the Father is like, all you have to do is look at the life, the actions, and the heart of Jesus. He represents His Father's character of mercy and love flawlessly to the entire world.
Section 4. Leaving a sweet fragrance.
Now, the author introduces a truly beautiful metaphor here to show how all of this high-level, heavenly truth practically applies to our down-to-earth daily lives. We have another specialized word to unpack: imputed. The text says that Christ's merits are imputed to us. Basically, this means they are given to us completely as a gift. We didn't earn them. Because we follow Him, Jesus takes His own perfection, His own merits, and He places them over us, kind of like a protective coat. And the text says that when God the Father sees us, He doesn't see our flaws. Instead, Christ's merits come before the Father like a wonderfully sweet odor, a beautiful scent.
And this brilliantly illustrates the final, profound point of the text. It's not just about how God sees us, it's about how we interact with the world around us. The source says that the graces of our Savior's character are actually implanted right into our hearts. And when you have that kind of divine love, patience, and tender compassion growing inside you, it changes you entirely. It means you will literally shed a precious, positive, and kind fragrance wherever you go. Just like a really beautiful perfume lingers in a room, the kindness and compassion of Jesus lingering in your heart will leave a lasting, beautiful impact on absolutely everyone you meet.
So I want to leave you with a powerful, thought-provoking question. What kind of precious fragrance will your actions leave behind today? When you walk out of a room or when you finish a conversation, what is the lingering scent of your character? Remember, you do not have to generate this goodness on your own. You have a never-failing helper. You have a throne of grace waiting for your earnest prayers. Rely on that helper today, let His character be implanted in your heart, and spread that goodness to everyone you meet. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you next time.